did I scare you there with my scary ghost impersonation? Hi, I'm Graham Wilson, and welcome to the Superpilotish channel. Today, I'll be talking about employees ghosting their employers from my basement. So, yeah, I figured I'd put on the old white, the white collar look today. Kind of manager, white collar job, looking all managerial and everything. I used to do that. I used to oversee flight instructors as a chief flight instructor at a flight training unit in Canada. And yeah, so it's like, yeah, I've been just a bit on that management side of things. Most of my life, I've just been a worker bee. You can see my toolboxes here behind me. I worked at a lot of different machine shops. So I know, oh, here we go. Sifferdy and Squibb right away off in the chat here. Hello. And he's saying that my white shirts are yellow now. Now that's funny because, yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons. I was going to say this anyways, but thanks for prompting me there, Seth. Yeah, don't look too close in the back of my collar here because I was thinking about dressing up like a little ghost to start off with. I got my cover off of my motorcycle. It's a queen size bed sheet. And it was like, oh, okay. I got off the motorcycle. I was like, ooh, I don't want to cut little eye holes in my nice motorcycle cover, right? Oh, I'll see. Well, okay, I will do that. And then what should I wear? Oh, white collar. Okay, I'll put on a white collar. I start looking at all my white shirts and they're all yellow. It's like, so, oh, well, I got a couple holes cut in the back of this. I'm just going to junk it afterwards. Less laundry that way, too. And I found another shirt and it was looking bad too, but that's okay. I don't need them anymore. I'm semi-retired. Okay, so enough of that. Yeah, so a little story time here. I got the idea for this this episode because I dropped the girlfriend off at the airport the other day, and she's out of town for a little while. And so she was saying that her plane was an hour late leaving because apparently the fueler didn't show up. And that got me thinking, did the person that was gassing up the plane, were they sick? Did they just quit? I've heard that happening. And then, we've heard about all these backups, especially at Pearson here in Toronto, in Canada. And yeah, all these backups and things. And from what I've read now, the little pilot shortage at the airlines it's kind of taking care of itself in Canada anyways. And so these backups, it's not really necessarily the airlines or the pilots, it's kind of the ground handlers and customs and stuff like that. So when she was changing planes at another airport, she said there was just one guy unloading all the baggage off the airplane. So it's like, these are just the little airports, and so that got me thinking. There's definitely a job shortage out there. I mean, if you look to apply for jobs, there's just tons out there. Restaurants, manufacturing facilities, you name it. I saw the Canada Customs is hiring, which they never hire full time. So yeah, there's a huge labor shortage there. And so I don't know, that got me kind of thinking more about, what would it be like? I got lots of skills and, I'm past the point where I work for a crappy minimum wage job. I've worked at lots of crappy minimum wage jobs. And so the way I see it is that if you're doing some crappy minimum wage job somewhere, there's tons out there. Tons. You got the pick. You can do whatever you want. You're in demand for everything. I want to go make cardboard boxes at this facility. I want to be a bartender. I want to be a waiter. I want to be a waitress. I want to be fueling up airplanes. I want to clean up at the construction site. There's jobs everywhere these days for the minimum wage crappy jobs. So the employers that have these minimum wage crappy jobs, you employers better start changing your thinking, and I'm going to help you out with that pretty soon. So I was thinking also about what if you are a disgruntled employee, or are you going to leave just for money, or you don't like the boss, or that happens. People don't always get along. And so that got me thinking about one of the courses I took, a social psychology course I took in university. And the professor, he worked for, he did a contract for General Motors years ago. and they were looking into uh, job satisfaction and what else is it too? Communication within the company. And so, through all the research that this package that he put together for the executives of General Motors, the professor was saying that like the biggest indicator of job dissatisfaction is absenteeism. So you can kind of think about that, employers. If you got someone that's always they're always calling in sick for work, or maybe they're just not showing up for work, they're going to be quitting in a matter of time, anyways, or they're not happy. But when they are there, you don't want them around making everybody else miserable. I always tried to keep where I worked when I was in charge. I tried to keep everybody, in not happy. Oh, we're bouncing off the walls, nothing like that, because it's still a job. But at least respectful of it, one another, and open to new ideas and improvements and stuff like that. Just keep things kind of positive, and so that tends to work. And another thing that would help keep people around is, I was thinking, is maybe if you increase their wages. But I've been the disgruntled employee before, and you could, when I was ready to quit someplace, there's no amount of money that could have kept me there. So it's like I've worked at lots of different jobs, and so I've quit. I've been laid off, fired, you name it. I've been on all over the fence on that stuff. So but I'm thinking too, when I was working as a chief flight instructor. Now I'm a bit older, so one of the instructors that I hired, I trained him. He trained with us, and then I trained him on his instructor rating. And he was quite young. I think he was about 19 when he started actually instructing with us. And the way that it's like, if you're older, say you're over 40 years old, the 16-year-olds to 25-year-olds, they think totally different than you. And just as an example, it just blew my mind. And it was very visceral, if you want to say. I was talking to this guy, and I said, "Oh yeah, how's your weekend?" He says, "Like, I had an okay time. I think I'm gonna break up with my girlfriend." And like, "Mm, okay, well, yeah." And then I left the room that he was in, and then I just came back, and he was on his phone, and he said, "Oh, just hang on a sec." Okay, yeah, what? And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sorry to interrupt." He's like, "No, I was just breaking up with my girlfriend." Like, you just did it on, just texted her about, done, and that was it. So that was kind of different for me. Or any time that I've been fired or I quit or something, there's always been some back and forth. But it is nervous. It is a little nerve wracking to be doing that when you're quitting or resigning or anything like that. To do it face to face, yeah, you're a little on edge. And so, but the younger generation there, they grew up on phones. Their whole life is a phone, and they just do stuff on their phones. I quit, broke up with a girlfriend, da 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 da. And so that's their reality. They grew, and as you get older, you got to kind of adapt to. As an employer, you're going to have to adapt to this because you can't change it. It's just the way the world is. And so, an example of that, and I know as an employer, I feel your pain if you're thinking that, what do you mean I got to change? Yeah, I know. There was just as an example, when I was a chief flight instructor, the one of the runways was getting repaved at the airport. So that changed up all the taxi procedures, and it was a little bit of, it was a disruption for probably, I don't know how long it was. There was a taxiway down there too, 9 months, a year, or something like that. So all of our checklists for the airplanes were made for a very specific way of doing things, and because the runway was getting repaved, we couldn't do that. We had to go around here, go here, all this other stuff, and so the checklist that we had didn't match with the new reality of the way that the runways were. So people started modifying and kind of doing their own things and deviating from a checklist. And any pilot that you talk to, the pilots will tell you, like, the checklists are there for a reason, so you don't miss anything. And so I was getting worried that everyone was deviating from these checklists, and I thought, well, it's just temporarily. And then once the runway was all done and we were back to normal operations, the habits that were ingrained over the last 9 months to a year, that just kind of kept going, and they were deviating from the checklist. So even though they didn't have to, so I said, okay, and they were just doing it. And some people learned their entire from scratch, from license to private license, or from zero to private license. They've only known it the one way, so it's kind of unsafe to start messing things up sometimes. So basically, everyone changed against my rules, the rules of the employer, and well, they're just doing it anyways. And I was looking at the way, and then I was thinking, how would it be harder to just like berate everybody that's doing it wrong? But you can't be there 24 hours a day, and everyone's doing it all different, deviating from the checklist. So, well, I guess it's okay. I hate to admit it. Employers hate to admit when they're wrong, or they hate to say, you guys are right. Now for me, it was kind of, 6 one, half dozen the other. Would it be safer, less safer to do it the new way compared to the old way? It was about equal, but the culture had already changed, so I had to adapt to that. So we changed. I I changed the checklist, and I got input from the other instructors too. And then so the checklist now is the way it is, and things changed. So and now nobody's deviating from the checklist, and nobody's forgetting things. So there we go. In the end, just like, sometimes the world will shut down on you for a couple of years, and then things change. So okay, so that's another little thing there about. So this is my little advice to employers, and I can guarantee you have never ever heard this before, and because it came right out of my head. I was thinking of it yesterday. So okay, so I'm gonna give a little debriefing for employers here. Okay, my and any of the flight instructors out here watching this, you'll know my technique. Okay, so employers, how do you think you've been doing so far? Well, I think if you're an employer right now and you've survived this far, the last few years have been kind of tough, and you're still in business, good job. You're doing all right there. But there's a few things that I'd have to say, that just some observations that employers are doing right now. So how are you dealing with your new young employees? Are you adapting to their needs rather than just imposing your own? Because the world's changed, right? So you're going to have to deal with these younger employees and their phones a lot differently. And so the way that we would do this the way that we can improve, I think, is we're going to take a little page out of Amazon here. Okay, now if you're an employer, you want to be able to schedule things and make sure that the clients are happy, the customers are getting things on time, whatever business you're in. That's important. So what you got to do is, number one, accept that things are different with the younger employers, especially if they're in crappy minimum wage jobs. They don't need you. You are not needed as an employer. Crappy minimum wage jobs, and even for some higher paying jobs too. So just remember that, employer, it's probably the first time ever that your employees can just say, I don't care. I'll go back playing video games in my mom's basement. I've been doing that for 3 years, and I only left because I felt like it. Mom's still happy doing my laundry and giving me food, and she drives me to work anyway, so I don't care. I don't need your $15 an hour. Forget it. So that's different. So that's accept the new reality. That's the one little tip here, and take a little a little page out of Amazon. I was reading. I'd heard this here and there around the internet, and there was this company called, I forget now, Zappo, and it was an online retailer that got bought by Amazon, and apparently it adopted this strategy where after a certain amount of time, the employee would sit down at a review and do a review with so the employer would do a review of the employee and offer to buy them out so that they quit. So it's kind of interesting. I think it was like $4,000 or something. But you know what? If you take an employee that's disgruntled, pissed off, they don't want to be there, and you say, "Okay, I'll give you $2,000 to quit right now," and then if they say, "I'm in," I wish I'd have people to pay me to leave before. I've never been paid to leave a job. I'm so jealous of these people that get like buyouts. But anyways, yeah. So ask them if they, would they take some money to leave, and if they do, great. See you later. And that way, I would think there's a lot less paperwork involved there. You're not dealing with like I said before, that the greatest indicator of job dissatisfaction is the absences. So you're not dealing with missing deadlines or timelines and pissing off the customer, losing a contract. How much is that worth you? If you're fueling up an airplane and you make Air Canada late 10 times, and there's a competitor on the field, you lose that fuel contract, you're out of business. So, it's worth it to pay somebody a little bit of dough to get out the door if they're never showing up anyways, right? And so there's one thing, maybe you might have heard of that, but you've never heard of this one if you're an employer. Okay, now this is kind of a weird one, and to like an older guy like me, and I'm glad I don't have to deal with this, but this is something that you can find out. If okay, how many employees have you had where they just don't show up? They're not calling you, they're not emailing you, they're not they're not doing anything. They're just like, dude just never showed up. So and then how long do you try to track them down? How much time you waste of your own time trying to find out what's up with this? Do I fire this employee? Are they sick? What's going on? When are they going to be back in? When can I get my stuff out the door for the customer? I need this kid to drive the forklift. So one thing that I thought of, which you'll probably disagree with, but I was thinking, like, try to figure out some way and put it into your training right off the bat, where if an employee wants to ghost you, they tell you that they're ghosting you. But the thing is, kids don't talk, they text, right? So they're not going to call you on the phone. They're not going to come into your office and say, "Boss, this is my last day." No, they just won't show up. But I bet you they would text you. So here's an idea for you. And it'd be really cool if it caught on, came out of this ad. At least I Googled it. It didn't show up from anyone else. And but I don't really use cell phones and stuff. But I Googled, there's a ghost emoji. So you can just tell the employee, like, okay, if you just want to ghost me, just get on your phone and use the ghost emoji. And then I know, okay, you've quit. Great. I can plan on my day. I can move my staff around. We can deal with it. And I would appreciate it if you ghost me with this little emoji here. Don't even have to say anything. Ghost, done. So I mean, the employee would probably go like, "That's pretty cool, man. I can quit whenever," and be like, "This is a pretty cool boss. Maybe I'll stick around." Never have to use the ghost emoji. But yeah, that's my suggestion here is try the ghost emoji. It helps out you. You can plan your, you've been ghosted, or your employee's gone. Start hiring again, save your money, or like lose less money, it's an opportunity cost involved there too. So anyways, that's my my 3 little tips for employers. Okay. Except the kids these days, I tell you, on their telephones. See, this is what I do. I got my little phone here. All right. This is where you always go 8008. Okay. But yeah. So they're not going to call, but if they can do a little ghost emoji, I don't know. What's that look? All right, there's my ghost. Ooh, it means I quit. Okay, great. Tell someone fire up to call up that person in for an interview. Let's go. And by the afternoon, you're back in business. Just an idea. Feel free to steal it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So my three things: accept the new normal. Think about paying him to leave. Now you got to make sure that that's right in your procedures, so it's not seen as discriminatory or anything. And adopt the ghost emoji for see you later. So, anyways, that's my three little tips for that, and hopefully we'll all be working, doing jobs that we like, and going out and buying new shirts because this one's going in the garbage after this. And that's about it. So we're going to shut her down. And thanks for watching. Bye.